Land Rover has an internal bulletin acknowledging wind noise from the A-pillar at motorway speeds. Owners have measured their own cabins at 63 to 75 decibels on the highway. $45 of material fixes most of it in an afternoon. The last one on this list is the noise the factory could not get right. Number 15. Take the roof rack off before you buy anything. Start with the fix that costs nothing, because for a lot of Defender owners, it is most of the answer. Multiple owners link roof racks and roof-mounted accessories directly to dramatically worse wind noise. One put it bluntly, people only complain of noise when they have the roof rack and all the accessories strapped on. And the other half of that observation is the useful part. Owners with a clean roofline report barely any wind noise at all. Same vehicle, same road, same speed. Think about what a roof rack actually is at 70 miles per hour. A set of bars and mounts sitting in clean airflow directly above the windscreen, generating turbulence that lands on the exact panels the rest of this video is about. It also explains why two owners of the same model year disagree completely about whether these vehicles are loud. One is describing a clean roof, and the other is describing a load of accessories sitting in the airstream. And neither of them mentions the rack because it has been up there so long they stopped seeing it. So if the rack lives up there permanently and you use it twice a year, take it off for daily driving and listen. That is a zero-cost test that tells you whether you need the other 14 items at all. Owners put a meter in the cabin. Here are the numbers. Number 14. Know what your cabin actually measures. Before you decide whether your Land Rover is loud, get a number rather than an impression. Owners have already done this, and the readings are worth knowing. One 2024 Defender owner recorded roughly 70 decibels at highway speed using nothing more than a phone decibel meter. He reported noticeable noise from the A-pillar to windscreen area above 130 kilometers per hour. Another owner of a new Defender 110 measured 63 to 65 decibels and described the noise as noticeable rather than overwhelming. Honest and worth repeating, because not every one of these vehicles is a problem case. So the documented range across owner measurements sits somewhere between 63 and 75 decibels on the motorway. That spread is enormous for the same model line, and it tells you the difference is not the design. It is the specific car. A number also gives you something to argue with. A service advisor who tells you the noise is normal for the vehicle is much harder to send away when you have a reading in your hand, particularly when the manufacturer has already written a document about the same complaint. Download a decibel meter, drive your usual route at your usual speed, and write the number down. Everything you do after this is measured against it. That word on the packet promises more than it delivers. Number 13. Understand that you are buying deadening, not soundproofing. This chapter exists so you are not disappointed later, because the words get used interchangeably and they do not mean the same thing. A do-it-yourself kit achieves sound deadening and damping. It does not achieve genuine soundproofing, and no amount of material bought for $45 will change that. Deadening means stopping a panel from ringing like a drum skin. Soundproofing means stopping sound passing through a barrier at all, which needs mass on a scale no adhesive sheet delivers. On a Land Rover, this distinction matters more than on most vehicles, and the next chapter explains exactly why. A large share of what owners are complaining about is not a panel ringing at all. There is a practical reason to be clear about this before you start. Owners who expect silence stop after the first fix, decide it did not work, and leave the other 4 gaps untouched. Owners who expect a slice off each time keep going and end up somewhere much better. So set the expectation now. You are going to make the cabin meaningfully calmer. You are not going to make it silent, and anybody promising otherwise is selling something. Your noise arrives 3 ways. Land Rovers get one badly. Number 12. Learn which of the 3 noise sources you actually have. Cabin noise comes from 3 distinct places, and treating them as one thing is why people buy the wrong material and hear no difference. Airborne noise is wind and exhaust reaching you through the air. Structure-borne noise is road vibration traveling through the chassis itself. Impact noise is the tire physically striking the road surface. Here is the part specific to this platform. On a Land Rover, a large share of the complaint is aerodynamic seal-related wind noise rather than classic road noise vibration. Read that again because it changes the whole shopping list. The problem is mostly air finding a gap, not metal resonating. which means seal and gap fixes have to be part of this project, not just sound deadening mats. There is a simple test for which one you have. Structure-borne noise changes with the road surface and stays with you when you slow down. Aerodynamic noise appears at a particular speed and disappears below it, regardless of what you are driving over. That is also why most generic soundproofing videos do not solve a defender. They are answering a structural problem on a vehicle that has an aerodynamic one. Buying the wrong material means nothing changes at all. Number 11. Learn what each material actually does. 3 problems and 3 jobs a treatment can perform. Matching them up correctly is the entire skill here. Mass loading adds weight to block sound transmission. Damping reduces panel vibration and resonance. Absorption soaks up airborne sound using foam. So a butyl damping sheet stops a floor pan ringing and does almost nothing about a whistle at your windscreen. Foam absorbs airborne sound and does almost nothing about a resonating panel. Neither of them closes a gap. Which is why the seals in the second half of this list are doing more work on this vehicle than any match you can buy. Air coming through a gap is not a material problem, it is a fit problem. It also explains why doubling up rarely does what people hope. A second layer of damping on a panel that has already stopped ringing adds almost nothing because the first layer finished the job. The next improvement has to come from a different job, not more of the same one. Get that straight before you order anything, and you will spend your $45 on the right things in the right places. If you found this already video helpful, you'll definitely enjoy my ebook. You can get it through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the screen. The limited time offer ends soon, so don't miss out. And don't forget to subscribe! Number 10. The complete shopping list with real prices. Here is the whole $45, and the reason the headline number works is that you do not need all 3 items at once. Butyl rubber damping sheets from Kilmat or Noico run around $40 for 36 square feet. That is the mass and damping half of the job, and it is the same core material the premium brands sell for considerably more. Closed-cell foam sheets run about $25 for a 12-pack. That is your absorption layer for the airborne noise that gets past everything else. A weather stripping and seal kit runs around $15. On this vehicle, that is the item punching furthest above its weight because of what you learned 2 chapters ago. Buy them in that order of priority if you are spreading the cost. And know that there is a level above this. One owner removed the carpets and headliner entirely and added damping throughout, reporting a significant difference. That is a different project on a different budget. 3 decibels sounds like nothing. It is half the noise. Number 9. Understand what a small decibel drop really means. This chapter turns a disappointing sounding number into a remarkable one, and it comes down to how the scale works. Decibels are logarithmic. They do not behave like ordinary numbers. Every 3 decibel reduction represents roughly a 50% drop in perceived loudness to human hearing. Put that against the readings from earlier. Take a cabin measuring 70 decibels down to 67, and you have halved what your ears are actually processing, even though the number barely moved. Which is why owner reports and measurements sound like they disagree when they do not. The owner who says the change was dramatic and the meter that shows a few decibels are describing the same event from 2 different angles. The same arithmetic is why the roof rack at number 15 is worth testing first. Removing a source of turbulence entirely tends to move the meter further than any material you stick to the inside of a panel, and it costs nothing but the time it takes to undo 4 clamps. So do not judge this project by the size of the number. Judge it by the drive home. Jaguar Land Rover wrote a bulletin about loose console bolts. Number 8. The floor console rattle the factory documented. Not all cabin noise is wind, and this one is worth checking before you assume you have a ceiling problem at all. Jaguar Land Rover issued a service bulletin, SSM 75211, acknowledging a floor console rattle on L550 and L551 models. The cause is loose M6 bolts. Sit with what that means for a moment. A rattle that owners have chased, complained about, and possibly paid to investigate, and the documented answer is a set of bolts that were not tight enough leaving the factory. It also tells you something useful about diagnosing your own vehicle. Before you order material, work out whether what you are hearing is a rattle or a rush. Those are completely different problems, and only one of them is fixed by anything in this video. It is also a reminder that bulletins exist for problems the factory already knows about. If your complaint matches a documented one, the conversation with a workshop starts from a completely different place than if you walk in describing a noise. A rattle is a loose component. A rush is a gap. Identify which one is bothering you first, because the bolts are free to tighten. 2 seals nobody inspects let in noise and water. Number 7. The vent flap and windscreen seals. 2 seals that almost nobody inspects, and one of them fixed a genuine noise complaint for at least one owner. Owners specifically recommend checking the seals on the underscreen vent flap and the windscreen seal itself. Swapping worn vent seals produced what one owner described as a noticeable difference. And this is a wear item rather than a design fault, which is easy to forget. Rubber hardens, compresses, and stops sealing over years of heat cycling, and nothing on your dashboard tells you when it has stopped doing its job. There is a second job worth doing while you are in there. Sealing gaps in the bulkhead and the seat trays with aluminum tape is cited as helping both noise and water intrusion at the same time. 2 problems, 1 roll of tape. And the water half of that is worth more than the noise half if you ever find damp carpet in a footwell. One owner shaved a millimeter of metal off a hinge. Number 6. The door alignment fix for the ambitious. This one is the most involved item on the list, and it is included because one owner documented the result in a way that is hard to ignore. His approach to door-related wind noise was to remove the top door hinges, shave roughly 1 millimeter of metal from the bulkhead contact point to improve door alignment, then apply self-adhesive foam seal to the top of the door. He described the combined result as having a remarkable impact. Now be honest with yourself about whether this is your kind of job. Removing hinges and taking metal off a contact face is a permanent modification, and getting the alignment wrong creates a worse problem than the one you started with. But the principle underneath it applies to everybody. A door that does not sit exactly where it should cannot seal, and no amount of foam tape compensates for a door that is a millimeter out of position. $5 of neoprene ends the whistle at your shoulder. Number 5. The window corner at the B-pillar. If your wind noise comes from around your own shoulder rather than from ahead of you, this is your chapter, and the fix cost about $5. Owners traced wind noise at the top corner of the driver's window, near the B-pillar, and identified it as a seal compression issue rather than a trim issue. That distinction is the whole diagnosis. Here is how they proved it. Applying gentle pressure between the glass and the upper gasket at that corner eliminates the noise entirely. If pressing on it makes the sound stop, you are not missing a part. The part you have is not making contact. The fix follows directly. Insert a thin piece of neoprene into the gap where the noise occurs, and you have restored the contact the seal lost. Try the pressure test on your next motorway run with a passenger doing the pressing. 30 seconds of experiment tells you whether $5 solves it. 11 dealer visits before anybody found the next one. Number 4. The rear window frame and a warning about chasing noises. This chapter is here as much for the story as the fix, because it is the best warning on this list about how these problems get diagnosed. One owner had rear wind noise. It was eventually traced to a bonded window frame, which required dealer replacement to put right. It took 11 failed visits before anybody found the actual cause. 11. Each one presumably involving somebody looking at the obvious candidates, adjusting something, and sending the car back out to make the same sound at the same speed. The lesson for your own vehicle is not to distrust workshops. It is that wind noise travels, and the place you hear it is very often not the place it enters. Which is exactly why the diagnostic step at number 2 matters more than any material on this list. Lift the carpet. Both footwells are worth an afternoon. Number 3. Treat both front footwells. This is the documented material fix for this platform, tested by Defender owners rather than recommended in general. One owner applied adhesive rubber and foil noise insulation to both front footwells and reported a noticeable improvement in aerodynamic noise. It is a straightforward carpet lift job that sits comfortably inside the $45 budget. Note what he was reducing because it is unusual. Not road roar coming up through the floor, but aerodynamic noise transmitting into the cabin. On this vehicle, the footwell is a route for air noise as much as a route for road noise. He was also honest about the ceiling on it. The improvement was real, but in his words, it will not completely eliminate aerodynamic noise, which is exactly the right expectation for everything on this half of the list. Each fix takes a slice off, none of them takes it all. Blue tape finds your culprit before you commit to anything. Number 2. The tape test that finds the real source. Before you take any trim off, spend one drive proving where the noise is actually coming from. This is the single cleverest tip in this entire video. Apply painter's tape to one edge of the windscreen trim at a time. Then test drive at the speed where you normally hear the noise. If the noise disappears, you have isolated that edge. If it does not, move the tape and go again. You are working through the candidates one at a time until the car tells you which one it is. There is a version of the same trick for the Freedom panel whistle on other vehicles, and the principle is identical. Temporarily block a suspected gap, drive, and listen. Do this before you commit to a permanent fix. 11 dealer visits happened to somebody who did not have a way to isolate the source. Blue tape and one motorway run is that way, which leaves the noise the factory tried and failed to fix. Number 1. The A-pillar fix. Jaguar Land Rover wrote a bulletin about. This is the one the title is about, and it is documented by the manufacturer rather than by owners guessing. Jaguar Land Rover issued Service Special Message SSM 76042, investigating wind and tapping noise from the exterior A-pillar and windscreen area at motorway speeds. It covers Defender and L663 models from the 2022 model year onward, and it instructs dealers to inspect the windscreen seal interface, check for gaps or seal deformation, and examine the A-pillar finisher clips for fatigue or damage. That is a factory-acknowledged defect on your car, in a document with a number, and it is worth knowing that before any conversation with a service department. Now the owner fix, and it is a genuine walkthrough. Remove the lower A-pillar cover, access the T27 bolt and remove the pillar trim. Line both contact edges with 3M double-sided tape before reinstalling, and be careful to leave the factory weather stripping just slightly exposed so it still makes contact with the glass. Some owners prefer an alternative approach, inserting thin insulating foam between the rubber seal and the windscreen itself. The factory had already added a felt strip to that owner's vehicle as a partial fix following the internal bulletin. In his words, it had not worked. The tape step is what finished the job, and he described the result as 99% cured. One last thing worth hearing, because it is the most useful sentence in this research. Fixing the front pillar revealed a second noise source on the opposite side that had been masked the whole time. That is not a failure. That is what progress sounds like on a vehicle with more than one gap. And it is why you work through this list one fix and one drive at a time.